Hello again, everybody. It's been a little while since I've posted anything on YouTube. I've been a bit more active on Instagram, largely I think because it's easier and I'm getting a bit lazy in my old age, but I thought I'd ease myself back into making some longer form content, largely now because I've a particular reason for doing it. Some of you who follow me may remember that earlier in the year I made a guitar for Gabi Reti, who is a builder in Germany. She was auctioning some of her guitars to go towards the cost of a new, well, second-hand new piano for the school she teaches in. And what Gabi did was to dismantle 2 pianos and from the soundboards from those instruments make a set of soundboards for guitars. So using the wood to make guitar soundboards. So I offered, if she sent me a guitar top made from one of these soundboards, I'd make her a guitar to go into her raffle to support the effort because it appealed to me. So I delivered the guitar I made, and Gabi presented all the 3 guitars that went into the auction, and I'll put a link to the videos. Incidentally, if you don't know Gabi, every year in the run-up to Christmas she does a sort of advent calendar of music. So different songs, a different one every day, played with either solo or with friends or colleagues, ex-students I think. So quite a variety of stuff, and it's well worth a look. So I'll put a link to Gabi's channel in the description below. Anyway, when I delivered my guitar, Gabi very kindly gave me a top to use for a future guitar, made again from one of these piano soundboards. Now, one of the pianos was, I think, 140 years old, if I remember rightly. I'm not sure if this was that piano or the other one, which was also quite old, I think. But anyway, this rather lovely soundboard is going to become a new guitar, which I'm going to build. And it's either way, whichever piano it came from, it's already spent most of its life making music. So I'm very happy to do this, and I can't wait to hear what it sounds like. It's a very nice piece of wood. It's a little bit thick at the moment, so the ring tone, the tap tone it has is quite high pitched, but I can tell it's going to make a great sounding guitar. The subject of this, and then probably the next couple of videos, will be that I'll try and bring the rosette into the camera a little bit. Gabi is obviously, she's a great builder as well as a very good musician, has done a lovely job on the rosette, but it's just a little bit plain for my taste, and I think it could do with a bit of fancying up. Now, I'm very apprehensive about doing this, and I thought long and hard about it. But what I've decided to do, I didn't want to change it too much or take too much away from Gabi's original idea. So what I thought I would do is add a strip in a coloured strip, because I think it needs a bit of colour. For me, it's all a bit brown, so I thought I'd put a coloured strip in there, but rather than take up the whole space and lose some of the rather nice mahogany that Gabi has put in there, I'm going to put just a thin strip about the width of the purfling on the outer and inner rings, but in the centre. So I've made these strips of dyed burl to go into the rosette using the course on Robbie O'Brien's Lutherie Academy site. The course was actually done by Nigel Forster, and I'll leave a link to that too. So these need to be bent, obviously, into the ring shape, and I'll butt 2 or probably 3 of them together to make the whole circle. And this is a bit of an experiment. I don't know yet whether these things are going to bend all right. Nigel in the course says that this was the way to do it, and if you want to find out, then go and check out the course. But before I do that, because these have only just been cut out, I need to mark what will be the underside. So because these have one sort of well finished surface and one surface on the underneath where it was cut. So I'll need to mark the underside, then bend the strips, and I'm going to do that before even touching the soundboard itself, because I don't want to cut a channel and then find that the strips won't bend properly. I'm not burning my boats if I try and bend these first. And then I'll inlay them, and that will be the subject of a future video, I think. So you can see I've marked the underside with a bit of red felt pen. That will be the gluing surface, and there are two sort of related reasons for doing this. The first one is so that I can now sand off the sort of whiskery bits left from cutting them out, which will make it easier to bend. I've got a more even surface to put on the bending iron. And later on, the second related reason is that I'll be able to sand a very slight chamfer on the edges, the corners there, to help push the strips into the channel, which I'm going to route into the rosette. The iron's hot enough now, so here goes. Let's see how this works. I'm going to use a support, which is needed right at the ends, especially because wood never really wants to bend evenly unless you encourage it. And the ends are normally, especially this is going great, the ends are normally problematic because you can't get a grip on it to put the same curve in. So you either have to cut it short, or, as I'm hoping will work here, use a sort of backing strip so that you can force the curve to be the same. This is going way better than I was expecting, which is great news. And what I'm going to do once these have taken up a curve, I just need to go and get it. I found a couple of rolls of tape which are roughly the diameter of the circle I need. This is actually slightly smaller and this one is slightly bigger, but as I've got a tighter curve, I'm going to tape them onto this so they can sort of settle into their new shape, and then when I come to put them into the channel I can ease it out a little bit. But at least this bend has gone fantastically well, so I'm just going to put some masking tape on to keep it onto this form. You can see here how the end is always the bit that is the one that wants to be straighter than the rest. So you have to pay a little bit more attention to that part of the curve. That's looking okay. Yep, that will do. Well, I'm really happy with the way that went. I was fully expecting them to snap, but even though it's a notoriously brittle material, at least the inner dyed burl, they've bent beautifully. So, good news. Well, that went so fast and so easily that I can already get on to think and talk about the rosette channel. As you can see, the hole here that Gabby used is it's 3mm, and all my circle cutting gear is based on 1/4 inch for historical reasons, and it's the only concession in my entire workshop to imperial measurements, but there it is. So I'll have to drill this hole out, and it has to be obviously completely concentric with this hole, which is kind of an issue, because if it isn't, then the channel I cut won't be parallel to all the edges here, and that'll look awful. So I need to think about that. I've already checked that the wood hasn't moved and that the dimensions here are all the same all the way around, so this hole is indeed still central to the ring, because wood, as it ages and moves around with humidity changes and so on, it could have moved slightly, but I don't think that's the case. So I'll drill the hole out, route the channel, which is, I'll need about 2.2 millimeters, and then I'll get on to the inlay. So that's the next step. Not quite the next step, because what I'm going to do as a sort of belt and braces approach is test it in some scrap first, just to make sure that these will sit nicely in a 2.2 millimeter channel. Always worth testing on scrap.